You're alone, clueless, with nowhere to start, no map or guide. You're just looking for a thread to pull onto so you can begin. I'll give you that. But first, we need to build some of our foundations here. So the books that I felt were most helpful to me, that changed my mindset, taught me new skills, just taught me new frameworks to work with and new ways to develop my skills. That's what I'm gonna give you today. A roadmap of each of them and what will each of them teach you. So let's start. Before we make money, we need to understand that we can make money, what mechanisms it's used, what mindset it takes for, what lanes it tends to go through, and just by me saying that word, you may already know what I'm talking about. Our first book is The Millionaire Fast Lane. It will show you the paths that people take in their life usually, the sidewalk, the slow lane, and the fast lane. And soon you'll realize that if you want to live life in any real sense, then you're gonna have to go with the third lane. Well, unless you want to be broke for life or rich, maybe perhaps at your 60s. Learn that the source of wealth is to produce rather than consume, to serve rather than be served, to use the highest leverage that you have in your options. The amount of money made is how many people you affect and how greatly you affect them. Because no one's coming to save you, and so you must save yourself. And so with the right mind, we can go to the right book for our current point. Atomic Habits, yes, the granddaddy of all habit books. But for good reason. The reason we're not talking about skills yet is because if you don't have the right habits to thrive and nurture that skill, then teaching you what to do won't exactly do you much good. But with Atomic Habits, you're better armed to deal with that because you do actions once, but you do habits for a lifetime. And what will this book teach you? It will teach you how to weaken a habit, how to nurture and thrive a habit, literally everything that goes on into one. What parts of it make up a habit? That a cue is a stimulus from your environment. A craving is a desire to attain or get something. Response is your action to serve that desire and attain it, and reward is the action of finally receiving and enjoying that reward. And that goes on for every habit, whether it's good, whether it's bad. Control your actions, you must control your environment first to create, thrive, or destroy a habit. Just teaching you an enormous amount about the sheer biology and psychology that goes on in a habit in almost purely practical means. No mumbo jumbo, no manifestation up in the air kind of garbage. And if you implement this well, it is not an understatement to say that it is literally life-changing. But all of what I said is just the tip of the iceberg, so put it down in your to-do list. And now finally, we can talk about skills. So how does deep work help with that? Well, I'm sure that after reading those two books, you have a couple of ideas about what maybe you could do, what you could be good at, what problems you could solve. But what deep work teaches us is that really you have a capacity for anything. From the book it says, and I'm rephrasing it a bit, that the difference between the world-class experts and the average Joe is nothing more than a function of the time spent honing the skill. And the point of that is saying that you shouldn't bind yourself by the thing that you magically found at second grade and thought that you were kind of good at. That's not the thing that you were set for life. Assuming that it's not a thing that you want to do, because if so, then go right ahead. But it teaches that rather than something innate, it tries to cultivate why the ability to have extreme concentration is practically a superpower in a world ruled by distractions and notifications. Why the devotion to a skill is something that is almost sacred, and the means to develop that in your own life is by in turn sacred as well. Carl Jung lived in a forest cabin outside in the woods with no outside contact at all for all of his work. Harvard professors nowhere to be found for weeks, maybe months on end. But for people like you and me, we don't really have those options. And so the third option that it discusses is setting a few hours each day dedicated purely to deep work. A few hours each day where you'll have no distractions and no hindrances, so you can devote yourself absolutely to one thing. Developing a skill. And how do you develop a skill? Two things. Complete concentration on the task and received and applied feedback. And so now with the mindset, the skills, and the habits in hand, we only need one thing to start making money. We need to sell it, which is where my next and most favorite book in recent months comes in. 100 Million Offers by Alex Hormozzi, where we learn the fundamentals of a business, how it works and how to scale it. And that to win anybody's business, you need to do one singular thing. Make them an offer so good they feel stupid saying no to it. Or in the words of The Godfather,
I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse.
and how do we actually do that? A Grand Slam offer. And what is that, I hear you ask? It is an offer that no one can compare to. It is so valuable and unique that it becomes a category of one. The simplest way to quantify it is an equation that he mentioned out in the book. Dream outcome multiplied by perceived likelihood divided over time delay multiplied by effort and sacrifice. That is what constitutes value in a whole. The bigger the ones are above and the lower the ones down below are, the better your offer is. For reference, this was the offer example that he provided in the book. He'd generate the leads and then work them into sales, and he'd only get paid if people show up with a guarantee of 20 people, and if he didn't, then the next month would be free, with the best practices of the industry given to the client at no strings attached. I take that. It's no surprise really why it's a Grand Slam offer. A strong dream outcome, a high perceived likelihood if they're that confident with their offer, with little time delay and zero risk on their behalf. And there is so much more in the book about bonuses and pricing, guarantees and niches, but I'll leave that for you to mull over while you're reading it. And last but not least, and also I don't have that paperback with me, is The Magic of Thinking Big. Because all of what I said so far will seem like completely up in the clouds until you find your own first bit of success. And there's nothing I can give you in this video that can simulate that feeling for you. And if you haven't had that happen to you yet, then I want you to watch this part pretty closely. I don't know where you are, I don't know what you're doing right now, but I know that if you're here, you're probably fighting desperately for something. And I can respect that. I mean, same here. This video is being recorded right now at 2 a.m. But hey, no one ever said that a hero's journey is gonna be easy, because they get the kingdom at the end. And that's what the book says too, by the way, that there's always a way to make what you want happen. No excuses or apathy are gonna help you get there. And so you must let go of them. Everyone is equal, even the people that we see with millions of followers, dollars, likes, and all of that. Even if they seem so far away, they're not. We're not gonna put them on a pedestal. They're made of the same flesh and bones. Us and them. And because of that, we're gonna get there someday. Because we're chasing after something that is that important. And focus is what makes nothing impossible. Nothing beyond our capacity. So do more and more and more. Until we get there. And with that, we've used all the time that we have today. So if you enjoyed this video, then I'd love to hear a comment from you. If this provided any value to you, then I'd appreciate a subscribe. As you can see, we're trying to improve things around here. But aside of that, if you need an editor or a lot pack, then those links are in the description. And with that, don't forget to smile. It'll make you feel a lot better. Bye.